At it again. We've got to talk about John Fetterman. Yeah. And the fact that I actually like him now. Never thought I'd say that one, huh? And by the end of this video, I think all of you will like Fetterman at least a little bit more. You know, since he, got help for himself, which I'm happy for him, right? He's actually came back pretty conservative. It's kind of interesting how it's all worked. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's take a trip down memory lane too. All right? Check it out. Let's dive in.
Boo! Boo!
That's Fetterman in the back there walking past this group of protesters who are getting arrested. You can barely see him back there. Can't really see his face, but that's him back there.
Boo! Boo!
What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Yes!
Shame!
Yes!
Shame!
What a genocide! What a genocide! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it?
You do a disservice to Pennsylvania.
If you didn't catch what he did, I know it was kind of hard to see there, but he held up an Israel flag in front of all of them. You can kind of see it there. I paused it a little too late, but you can kind of see it there a little bit right there. He held up an Israel flag in front of the Palestinian protesters. Oh, man. But that's not the only time Fetterman has sounded a lot more conservative. Check this one out.
And allies admit
there's a crisis at the border, and I don't know how anybody could pretend that there isn't.
An ally.
I mean, he ain't lying. Is he? He ain't lying. And these moments continue on. Check out this other clip here.
I'm going to err on the side of more freedom and personal choices of those kinds of things. And I made that same argument when I wanted to legalize marijuana. More than 500,000 Americans die every year from smoking and tobacco, or tens and tens of thousands die from alcohol. And I think there's bigger issues to address than that product. So I don't support it, and I would never support snuff or chewing tobacco, but it's available.
Man, seems like the Democrats have a problem on their hands. Someone is breaking ranks. Fetterman is breaking ranks. But let's continue on down memory lane here before we get to the latest clip that I have of Fetterman looking a bit more conservative, or at least pushing back against the extreme left, right? Check out this clip.
I saw a poll that indicated you have very high approval among Democratic voters, and this information in Pennsylvania, and this information came along with the tag that Twitter is not real life, because obviously a lot of progressives on Twitter have been attacking you for your position on Israel, for noting that, in your opinion, saying that there is a crisis at the border does not make one xenophobic. Why do you think you've been so criticized by so many progressives?
I honestly don't understand. I don't understand why it's controversial to anybody to decide that you're going to stand with Israel in this situation. I honestly don't understand why it's controversial to say we need a secure border. I've been very clear. In fact, that was weaponized against me as Republicans in my race, that I'm very much a strong supporter of immigration. And, my wife's family, that's the Oregon story about that. And I think two things can be true at the same time. You can be very supportive of immigration, but we also need to have a secure border. And I think about immigration as we want to provide the American dream for any migrant. But it seems very difficult when you have 300,000 people showing up encountered at our border to do that. And I think we need to do a reset, and we have to work together and develop a new comprehensive solution to that. And that would also unlock a lot of the critical aid for Ukraine. Again, we cannot forget about Ukraine. That's critical for Israel and Taiwan. That's a very important kind of standard that we have to maintain, that we're going to support and stand with our allies that are very critical.
Now, while I don't agree with everything Fetterman has to say, it still is interesting to watch him break ranks. Because, and I've said this before, one thing that I have learned about Democrats throughout this journey is that they're all in unison. Whenever there's a message to be conveyed, they all say the exact same thing, right? I mean, look at the message that they're spewing out now. Threat to democracy, threat to democracy. They have said that so much that some people in America believe that we live in a democracy. Like, if you walked up to them and said that, no, we live in a republic, they'd look at you like you have 5 eyes. Like, what are you talking about, a republic? This is a democracy, right? Oh, my goodness. That is one thing that I am pretty jealous of when it comes to Democrats and how they move, right? But let's get to this latest clip of John Fetterman at his home, right? He was met with some protesters outside of his house. Check out how he responded to them.
Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide! 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 Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide!
Yo, oh my goodness. That is some of the funniest stuff right there.
Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide! Fetterman, you can't hide! You're supporting genocide! Fetterman.
This man's just on his rooftop. Right in front of the protesters, just holding up the flag. Now, oh man, y'all know how I feel about protecting other people's borders rather than protecting our own. But if we put that to the side, that is hilarious. Him absolutely trolling really his own voting base. But the silver lining in all of this is I actually hope these protesters, are effective, right? And I say that because they are ripping apart the Democrat Party at the seams. That issue is a big issue in the Democrat Party. That war is a big problem for Democrats, a huge problem. And so, with that being said, hey, listen, I hope these protesters convince enough people, right, to just sit at home or vote Republican. That'd be nice too, right? Wouldn't mind that. But I hope that they convince them all to just sit at home. I want to show you this clip of Mark Lamont, who went to a church. I know this is a weird trend that Democrats have going on. They all try to go to a church and deliver a sermon. Like, that's the Lord's house. You don't go there to get your political rocks off, okay? It's the Lord's house. You go there to praise the Lord, not to demean your political opponents or, get your political points across. But, hey, they'll learn on Judgment Day. Okay. Anyway, here's this clip of Mark Lamont going in on Joe Biden. Check it out.
Yes, sir. Last week, there was a protest in the Great Mother Emanuel AME Church in South Carolina. A beautiful church, a historic church, a church birthed out of struggle, birthed out of the struggle of the African Methodist Episcopal tradition, which is built on saying black folk have a right to preach to the word of God, and not just to other black folk. Black folk have a right to full humanity and full participation. Don't tell me you love God and you obey the commandments of God and the word of Jesus and tell me that black folk ain't got the same rights. So the AME Church is a church of struggle. And it's also a church of tragedy. We know that Dylan Roof went into that church and killed 9 beloved saints as they were praying. So I was a bit struck last week when I saw that they opened the pulpit up to Genocide Joe. Y'all can get mad, I don't care. And people, as he began to give his campaign speech, some protesters stood up and said, "Stop the blood in Palestine."
Yeah.
They said, if you're outraged by the blood of Selma and you're outraged by the blood that was spilled in this very church, then how about calling for a ceasefire in Palestine, since you've given them the weapons, you giving them the support, you giving them the money? Joe, why don't you do something about it? They marched and stood up and got kicked out of the church, and people said, we're outraged. You know, I was outraged too.
Yes, sir.
How dare you use this sacred space? How dare you use this beloved pulpit? How dare you use this sacred tradition? How dare you use the words of Jesus, who overturned the tables in the temple, who was committed to overturning a Roman government, who was committed to speaking out against injustice? How dare you use this space as a shield for imperial war? How dare you use this space as a shield for violence? How dare you use this space as a shield for genocide?
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
The moral atrocity that took place wasn't some disruptive protesters. It was the fact that you allowed the leader of the most violent and bloody empire in modern history to stand in this place and represent a tradition that he ain't got nothing to do with. How dare you?
Democrats got a problem on their hands, baby. They got a problem on their hands. And including, I mean, this thing has gone so far that not only have Democrat protesters gone to Fetterman's home, not only have Democrats who want to protest Joe Biden have gone to a church in Mark Lamont, you saw there in that clip, but they've actually pulled up to Nancy Pelosi's home too. Check out this clip.
Most of your constituents block the subject. Stop the genocide. Stop the Holocaust.
The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire.
Did you hear her? She said, get away from my house. Go back to China where your headquarters is. And you know, it's kind of interesting she says that, because recently she went on CNN and had this to say now about the people that are protesting against her and Democrats. Check it out.
They're in front of my house all the time. So I have a feeling for what feelings they have. But we have to think about what we're doing. And what we have to do is try to stop the suffering in Gaza. This is women and children, people who don't have a place to go. So let's address that. But for them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these Some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. And I say that having looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I don't think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that. But apart from that, let's just say it's...
She wants to ask the FBI to investigate some of the alleged financing? That's quite interesting she says that. Because I know some financing that I think should be investigated as well. Miss Nancy Pelosi, how in the hell are you worth $200 million on that type of salary? I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to ask that question. I'm stepping out of line. I'm sorry. I'm going to get back in line. Okay? My bad, y'all. Got a little ahead of myself. You know, but it is interesting that she made that statement. She wants the FBI to investigate some of the alleged financing. They might be Russian agents. I thought she said they were Chinese agents in the clip right before that, though. So now they're just agents from all over. They aren't. Okay. See what's happening? You know, the Democrats try to accuse Republicans of being dictators and authoritarians and the end of democracy, which we don't live in a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. But anyway, but it's really them. They'll even go as far as turning against their own supporters and calling their own supporters Chinese agents, or at least working for China, right? Go back to China where your agency is. I believe it's her exact quote. Or Russian-backed agents. They'll go as far as saying that about their own supporters. You know, I'm loving 2024 because it's exposing exactly who Democrats are. Exactly who they are. You know, we talked about the other day Democrats being racist, right? Because we saw the clip of them speaking badly of Tim Scott simply because he's a black man that happens to support a Republican, Donald Trump. If I remember, the lady said, how does he go back to his family? How does he speak to his friends and family? I can't imagine how he speaks, or something along the lines of, I can't imagine how he could go and face his friends or family. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean? What, like, just because we black, we supposed to just get in line? And listen, I know you are the party of slavery, and you would love for us all of us black people to just be like, yes, master. Yes, master. But that's not the times we living in. I know you would love for us to go back to that because you promote some of the same things. You know, I'm gonna save that one. Oh man, I was about to get on them. Anyway, y'all let me know what you thought about John Fetterman, and what do you think about what Nancy Pelosi had to say? Really exposes who the Democrats really are. Peace and love. I'm out.